Good morning, everybody. Really important training this morning. It's easy to show up powerfully when you feel powerful. It's easy to show up powerfully when you feel powerful, which sounds like, yeah, duh, right? It's easy to show up powerfully when you feel powerful. I think a lot of us have inner badass moments. We have moments where we feel completely on our game, focused, lasered in. We know what we want. Typically, we feel that way when we're just coming off of a win. So when we have a major win, we feel powerful and thrilled and on fire, and we feel like we can do anything. And then a setback happens, an obstacle happens, a life thing happens that puts us on the floor. And then we feel weak. And then we look at the previous moment where we felt powerful and we go, well, that was just a moment. That's not who I am. That was because of the circumstances. Or we say, well, when things are going well, then I feel good. But when things are not going well, then no, I'm not going to feel good. I feel weak. And so in this morning's Fire Your Inner Critic, Find Your Inner Badass, and finally build your business, I'm going to talk about how do you show up powerfully even when you feel weak. And this is an important thing to understand because the inner critic and the inner badass are both parts of you. They're not parts that, one is present in the middle of feeling weak and one is absent. They are both there. And so the question becomes, when I feel like I'm not strong enough to deal with what I'm dealing with, when I feel like I am not, or not even that, sometimes it's not a situation, whether in life or business, that puts us on the floor. Sometimes it is a feeling that what it's going to require of me to build this business is something that I don't have. And so then we walk around creating a business, but feeling, presenting to the world in one way, but feeling weak on the inside. And it's the inside that's driving our results, not what we present to the world. And so that although on the outside we're saying, well, I'm building this business and I'm doing this thing and I'm going after it, on the inside, we are actually feeling very, very weak. So I want to talk to the reality of a situation as you build your business rather than the image, because the image might give you a little bit of confidence. The image that you present as you build this business or as you grow your business or as you expand your business might give you an anchor by which to keep taking daily massive action. But if you don't have a real anchor of self-worth and strength and power, which come from the inner badass, right? If you don't have that, then at the end of the day, you're building this business, but it's never going to be as successful as it could be because you are stuck in impostor syndrome. And it doesn't matter what other people are telling you on the outside, you're living it on the inside. So we're going to talk about how do you show up powerfully when you feel weak. And what's interesting is I had all of these talking points that I was going to talk about today in terms of how do you show up powerfully even when you feel weak. I had all of these talking points and I'm throwing them out. I'm not even talking about them because I don't think what I originally listed as how to do this is really how you do this. So we're going to go off the cuff and we're going to talk about how do you show up powerfully even when you feel weak. And I want to do this quickly and I want to do it completely. And my goal, my intention for you in this training is to truly understand that showing up powerfully, both in life and in business, have nothing to do with what you're accomplishing. It has nothing to do with what you're achieving today. And it has everything to do with how you're being today and what you're focusing on today and the vision you have today. So, off the cuff, let's talk about it. How do you show up powerfully even when you feel weak? First of all, you have to understand where your power, where your true power is generated from. Your true power is never going to come from anything you do. Never. Because if you generate value and power in your sense of self from what you do, what happens on a week when you have the flu? What happens on a day when your internet is down and you can't do anything on your business? What happens when the building that you deal with clients or you consult burns down and it's not going to be rebuilt for 6 months, or you live in Florida and there's a hurricane and you can't go back to work for 4 or 5 months? What happens when the doing gets stopped by external circumstances? If you derive your sense of showing up powerfully from what you do, when for any number of reasons the doing stops, so does your power. So we can't derive showing up powerfully from what we do. If you're going to be able to show up powerfully no matter what, then it has to come from the being and not the doing. Now, this is where it gets complicated, because most people will say, well, people don't buy being, people buy results. People buy what I can do for them. People buy the results I can bring to them. True. But you will not be the most powerful inner badass part of you unless the being is intact. So we have to begin with being, because from the being comes all the doing, and the being, when it's powerful, withstands any lack of doing. So we have to go to the being. So then the question becomes, how do I, okay, if my showing up powerfully has nothing to do with what I do and everything to do with who I'm being, what do I do with that? Especially if you have an inner critic that's raging, an inner critic that just tells you over and over again that you can't do this, you're not capable, there are only 24 hours in a day, you have so many priorities, and they're competing priorities, and this inner critic is just so good at reminding you of all the reasons why your being sucks, right? So how do you show up powerfully even when you feel weak? Because there are going to be moments where you feel like, I don't know how the hell I'm going to build this business. I don't know how the hell I'm going to do that exactly. I have no clue. How in that moment of uncertainty and doubt do you still keep your being powerful and intact? I'm going to tell you. You have to have a vision for your life and business that is so powerful and so big and is so about serving others that you get out of the mode of only focusing on who you're not, or who you are, or what you want, or what you can have, or what you got to get out of you and into the bigger mission of you. So that's the first thing. If you're going to show up powerfully even when you feel weak, you've got to have a vision that is so big and so powerful and so necessary to the world that you finally say, get over yourself, get out there and make the impact that you were born to make. That's the first thing, vision. And if your inner critic is raging, it can be hard to create that big a vision, because your inner critic is saying to you the whole time that you're creating it, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you don't have enough time, you don't have enough money, you don't have enough... But here's the thing, when you have a vision that is so big, you will do whatever you will find a way, you will make a way, you will do whatever you have to do to make that thing happen. So for one, you need the vision. And if your vision does not move you to action on a daily basis, if your vision does not cause you, when you think about it, to feel exhilarated, your vision's not big enough. Make it bigger, 10x it. So first thing is you need a vision. Second thing is you need to control two things: what you focus on and what you make things mean. So the first thing is, what are you focusing on a daily basis? When you feel weak, I guarantee you're not focusing on your vision. When you feel weak, I guarantee you're not focusing on your why. You are not focusing on all of the things you can do today. When you are feeling weak, you're focusing on all the things you can't control, as opposed to the few major things you can control. When you feel weak, you're focusing on all of the things that are not working out rather than all the things that are working out. And if you were to say to me, well, nothing in my life is working out, You're breathing. You're watching this video, whether it's on YouTube or on Facebook. You're watching this video. So you can't tell me nothing's working out because you're watching this. So you have this vision. You choose what you focus on. Focus on what is good in your life at this moment, what is working in your life at this moment, how you're serving in your life at this moment, in your business. You focus on what your business is going to be able to do. And then it's not just focus, it's meaning. What makes people happy typically are two things: progress and meaning. When you feel like even the smallest step is moving you closer to your dream, that's progress. That generates happiness in people. If I feel like I'm stuck, if I feel like I'm not moving, if I feel like I can't do this, then I don't feel happy. But progress is happiness. The other thing that's happiness is meaning. So creating the vision, deliberately choosing what you focus on, and then what are you making things mean? When shit hits the fan, what are you making that mean? Are you making it mean you're not good in business, you can't do this, there's no way you're going to do this? Or are you making it mean there's another way? There's a better way. There's a different way. What are you making the feedback from other people mean in terms of your life and business? What are you making the thoughts that you're having about yourself mean? Does the self-doubt mean you're incapable, or does the self-doubt mean you have another layer of inner critic that you need to deal with, and you have another layer of inner badass that you need to develop? What we make things mean will direct the path of our lives. So I'm going to wrap this up because I could talk about this forever, but I'll say this. When you're feeling weak, the way to show up powerfully is to create a vision that is so big it propels you into action, it stirs you, it moves you, and then it's to deliberately choose what you focus on and to deliberately choose and ask yourself, what am I making this mean? And give an empowering meaning to anything and everything that is going on in your life and business. Empower yourself with what you think, what you feel, what you do. Live in the vision, not in the past. And then be okay when you feel weak, knowing that you have the power through focus and meaning to cultivate strength even in your weakest moments. That's how you do it. All right. If you're watching this on YouTube, please join us in the private Facebook group, Fire Your Inner Critic, Find Your Inner Badass, and finally build your business. You can find that on facebook.com/groups/Fire Your Inner Critic. I will see you guys on the next FB Live training.